Hello. Reading a book. I'm going to save that page. I'm interested in that. All right. Hello. Good evening. Well, the gang's all here. Micro USB just woke up. Good on you. Megaleech, hello, Lemonheads. And Luke, hello. Hello. I just realized the minute you're probably asking Micro USB if he has pants on rather than me. Yes. So I have pants on, but that's not a huge achievement, it being 8 p.m. I've had pants for a while. I was thinking, okay, I got this book for my birthday, the Death & Co. book. Death & Co. is a very influential cocktail bar in New York. And they got some fun old, well, there's hundreds of cocktail recipes in here, as well as whole chapters on how to do things. Fun old-fashioned variations. A 4-way split base. Rye and bourbon and Calvados, which is apple brandy, and cognac. What's Death from Above? Oh, that's a rum one. Split base rum old-fashioned. An elder-fashioned. A gin old-fashioned. Never tried a gin old-fashioned, actually. Hi, Tommy. Headstone. I wanted to make the most expensive old-fashioned variation possible. So I started with an elegant and floral Japanese whiskey and added 2 orange liqueurs. 12-year-old Suntory. Wow. Jekyll and Hyde. You have a few of these that are bourbon and apple brandy. I mean, mind you, I've done an old-fashioned with my apple liqueur, and it's really yummy. I think, because I'm waiting on some deliveries, including an Australian version of Applejack. And I could do an all-Australian version of this conference. Australian rye, a whiskey, an Applejack, and distilled apple cider and brandy, which I might do. An Aussie version of that. But that's maybe. I feel like giving myself a drink, actually. Maybe this one. I need to get a glass and some ice if I'm going to do that. Have one of my clarified cocktails. Big old double rocks glass. And we'll do a big old rock in it. Those are just big ice cubes. This is very big ice cubes. I have the different size ice cubes. I have little ice cubes, big ice cubes, and very big ice cubes. So, the weekend is over. Going back to work. As I said, for 18 months, back to work has been just over there, but logging on. Oh, nice, Tommy, having an apple bourbon. Nice. How are you? Oh, is that in one of those flavored bourbons? Is it in? Because I've seen some of them. They look kind of interesting. So that's like an apple flavored bourbon. Hey Raiders, how's it going? Marcus, you're gonna make a coffee because you just got up. That's fair. Yes. So good. Luke, now you got a notification. Oh, okay. The internet is a strange beast. Oh, wow. This has got quite a strong aroma, this drink. from the has sweet vermouth in it, which is where it gets its color. Even clarified, it's still very red. Oh, Lemonhead, you got me actually doing Mrs. Robinson, being a Lemonheads fan. You know that? But yes, maybe it was your username that made that pop into my head. I don't know. Raiders going good. Another late night F1. Which country is it in tonight? Out of interest. Oh, you know what? You made me think of not Formula One, but motor racing. That movie that came out a year or two ago called weird name for the movie, but I suppose it is what it is. Ford versus Ferrari. It had Matt Damon and Christian Bale in it. And it was about the Le Mans 24-hour. Matt Damon played the famous Mr. Shelby. I thought that was actually a pretty good movie. So, okay. The F1 is Monza in Italy. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Good to see you, sir. Man, that is an interesting flavor. So let me just put a ticket for the Lemonheads, $25, $16, $16 convenience charge. That's almost, what's a convenience charge? That's like they're almost doubling the ticket price. That's right. That movie Driven, was that about what's his name who died? Because a whole bunch of them have. Ayrton Senna, was that the one about Ayrton Senna? Hello, Stella. Good evening to you. Tell me my favorite zombie movie. That is a good question. Because I do like zombie movies, actually. Maybe 28 Days Later, because it did something quite different with the genre. But yeah, I was always a fan of the classic Romero ones, actually. Hey, Safa. Good evening to you too, sir. Trying to think what other zombie. Shaun of the Dead is a good one. The Korean film Train to Busan is pretty good. There was a bit in the resolution that really pissed me off because it required the guy who'd survived all that time in the movie to do something really stupid. But it was a pretty good movie overall, Train to Busan. Chris, yeah, you like the old, the original Day of the Dead. Yeah. It was a good one. Yeah, so, I mean, those are a few good zombie movies. There's probably some other ones too. I was a bit of a fan of the Romero original Living Dead movies. 28 Days Later, it's probably up there. That I'd like to actually rewatch Train to Busan. That was quite good. So I think there's supposed to be a sequel to Train to Busan. And also I think there was supposed to be an American version, like a Hollywood version, which just straight off the bat kind of feels wrong, but yeah. Actually, it was very flawed, but there was stuff in World War Z. There was stuff in World War Z that I really liked. It was very flawed, but it had stuff I liked in it. And it was. I still haven't. There was a book called World War Z that was, I think, it was like a series of perspectives on the zombie apocalypse. It was like diary entries from different people in different parts of the world. And the movie had basically nothing to do with that. They just bought the rights to the name World War Z. And I do say Z because it's American. So same as I say ZZ Top, not ZZ Top. Tommy, so there was a sequel to Train to Busan? I thought there was. I haven't seen it. Chris, how do you make World War Z and not do the Battle of Yonkers? Yeah, see, I didn't read the book, so I don't know. And hello, Abigail, if I didn't already say hello. Luke, AZ kind of had a desire to join tonight, but he was also thinking maybe he wouldn't be able to. I talked to him today. He tells me he tried to join the stream last night because he thought I'd be going really late. And so he rocked up at after 11 and I was already gone. And it wasn't a falling asleep thing. I just said, okay, I was kind of bad on Friday night. I need to be better tonight. And I went to bed at about 11, actually probably a bit before then. So, but I mean, I don't know. I think sort of, maybe zombie apocalypse is played out. There are these great books, and I'm pretty sure they were optioned to be turned into a film a couple of years ago, probably by Steven Spielberg's company. I'm almost sure it's Steven Spielberg, actually. It's called Robopocalypse. It's an artificial intelligence apocalypse, and man, the book is dark as fuck. The humans do not do well in the robot uprising. It's very bad for the humans. Abigail, it's the same as calling SQL SQL because people invited to call that, but you don't mind people calling it SQL. Yeah. Yeah, probably if I had the only thing, refer to SQL servers and whatnot. Yeah. And yes, Safra, I got proper sleep last night. So, Chris, imagine the entire modern US Army fight the zombies in a last-ditch battle royale. 1 million zombies versus the army. It's amazing. That actually does sound good. And I got told the stuff that was set in Russia was good too. And there was, like, they clearly shot some of that, and there's that sort of bit right at the end of the movie that they didn't use. But anyway. Luke, you want a version of the Wiggles Wake Up Jeff song for a Wake Up Angry? Well, at least on Friday night, I knew, like, oh, you know what? I've overdone it a bit. I need to go, but there's a bunch of people talking. And I said, you all keep going. I'm going to go lie down. I like that. Abigail, MS SQL Server is probably the only MS software you trust. Fair enough. Solitaire. I did have good times with Solitaire, actually. That's a good one. There was a good, or at least I found it enjoyable, zombie. It was published online. I think it ended up getting published in book form. There was a trilogy of these things in, and rather than calling them zombie, he called them monster, but it was zombies. The first one was called Monster Island, which was when the zombies have already overrun and a guy has to get into Manhattan Island to get something. Then the second one was a prequel. It was the origin one. It's called Monster Nation. That's because the zombie apocalypse starts in the US. And then the third one, which was the resolution, was called Monster Planet. And it's sort of the final days of there are hardly any humans left, and the zombies have overrun the world. And I think the first one, Monster Island, actually got made in a really shitty direct-to-video thing, I think. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure I remember seeing that happened. Abigail, if I fall asleep, you're going to play royalty-free music to wake me up. Yeah, I watched it back. I was pretty out of it on the stream. And I know exactly why it happened as well, because I wasn't mixing cocktails. I was pouring from my pre-mix things, and I was over pouring essentially because I wasn't measuring it. So I was losing track of how much I was drinking. Bad idea. Tommy, you should check out Fido. A boy has a zombie as a pet, and his neighbor has a zombie as his girlfriend. Oh, okay. Should we get the other Windows games like Pinball and Minesweeper? The only thing that ever bugged me about Minesweeper is you couldn't always, sometimes you could, but because it randomized where the mines were, you couldn't always win the game by pure deduction and logic. You would get to points where there was no option but to guess. And I think that's a design flaw. Even like, you had to click at the start, and you might accidentally click on the mine the first time you click on it. I think Minesweeper would have been better if it started with a bit of the board cleared and it told you where the mines were, and you always solved it completely by logic and deduction rather than being forced to guess. Abigail, you were more drunk than usual as well. Bad decision juice. Not a great decision. I wonder why we called it bad decision juice. Oh, look, I remember Ski Free. Yeah, Ski Free was good. That you could only play it for a certain amount of time before the Yeti came out and got you. Tell me, what video games did I like growing up? Pong, because I'm old. Early computer games. I mean, I like to play stuff like Doom and all the shooters. Wolfenstein, the like original Wolfenstein that fit on a single floppy disk, and Doom. I really got into Dark Forces. I think we said this last night. Dark Forces when it came out, the Star Wars first-person shooter. Diablo 2, I really liked. It's supposed to be a remaster of that coming out, which I haven't heard anything about for a little while. Really looking forward to a remaster of Diablo 2. Abigail, the actual intention of including both Minesweeper and Solitaire in Windows was for people to use them, practice using a mouse, since back then mouses were not widespread. Yes, it's very funny, the things we take for granted now. But yeah. Safa, that's a very specific memory you have that I don't share. You liked the Vista skin design Aria. It was beautiful. I don't remember what that is. I don't remember the skin designs, any of them. Try a little bit of this. I haven't tried this since I made it. This is mostly orange juice. Doesn't look like orange juice, does it? Also didn't clarify properly. It's a bit cloudy. There's particulate matter in it. Just have a little bit. Hey, Celtic. Lemonhead, has anyone touched a lawsuit against Nirvana Baby accusing them of mental distress? Oh, that's just some stupid opportunism. The version I heard was that, I don't know, he fancies himself as an artist now, and he asked, Dave Grohl or whoever to come to his opening, and they didn't, and so he's being spiteful and trying to sue them. It's a stupid, frivolous, and meritless lawsuit. Abigail, when you were in your early 20s teaching old people how to use mice. I've told this story before, but I worked like in a public service job 20 years ago, and some old public servant from Canberra came down to see what we were doing, and so showing him, I had it up on a projector. Here's the new intranet we've developed, and he picked the mouse up off the desk and was pointing it at the screen and clicking like trying to use it like a TV remote or like a laser point. And why did it work? And I was like, oh my God, how do I tell this senior public servant that's not how a mouse works, you fucking moron? Yeah, this was in the 90s, I think, late 90s. Yes, and so I asked my boss, please don't let that guy ever come back. My curious, but are you freeing us with a predator drone? We're going to free the fuck out of us. Did I say hello, Alexander? Hello, Alexander. So, Abigail, you agree with Safa. Aero was a great first time. MS thought everyone would upgrade their PCs for it. Lots of people had to disable it because it slowed the PC down. Damn. I've already seen video of Supreme Court judges navigating Zoom. Yes. Oh, yes, Luke, cleaning the mouse balls. That was always a hoot. God, they would get filthy like you get, and there'd really be that really gross amount of cruft that had been picked up off just from your desk, just rolling around. That was very off-putting. Oh, right. You're not a cat, Abigail. That's good to know. Oh, that's really nice. Man, that is good. Oh, that's a clarified porn star martini with rum in it. And I used orange juice rather than passion fruit juice because I'd run out of passion fruit, and orange is basically the same color when I had to do close-ups. So this is actually really nice. Oh yes, Abigail. I didn't get it at first. I'm not a cat is a reference to old people struggling to use Zoom. Yes, someone is using Zoom and he either accidentally clicked on the thing to put a cat face over the thing, or his kids or grandkids had been using it and it was still on. And the guy is trying to present in court, but he's got this cat cartoon face on, and he was very traumatized by the whole thing. I am not a cat. Grisby had a nice Corsair gaming mouse. Your sister stole it. Oh no. Sibling stuff. What a bummer. God, some of the gaming mice they have now, they look like they're meant to be weapons. They have all those sharp bits and what. I'm sounding like an old man. The mouses today, I don't understand them. Oh, so many buttons on the gaming mouses. Okay, your sister was 20 when she stole your mouse. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. Oh dear. What? That's just a bad thing, really. Yeah, Tommy, optical mouse is much better than the rollerball mouse. There was like someone tried to come up with another mouse design that didn't use a rollerball, and it was terrible. I remember it was this weird 3-pronged thing on the bottom of the mouse, because if you ever took the ball out, you'd see there were these 3 rollers that were determining the direction moving in. This didn't have a ball. It was just like these 3 prongs that were supposed to work the same way as you move the mouse around, like they were tracking movement. But it was fucking terrible and didn't work. So yeah, Shieldsy, how you going? I haven't seen you in ages, it feels. I remember that, Abigail. Picture of the very first mouse, a block of wood with 1 button. Yes. And that's a good question, Celtic King, because we will all get to the stage where technology is scary and strange and we won't know what to do with it. Yeah. So Shieldsy, you're playing Rust hours on end. That's what you've just been playing Rust. Well, that's fine. You found a game that you're well into. We'll see. Speaking of people who I feel like I haven't seen in the chat for a long time, Invisible Chicken, hello. How are you? Nice to see you. Here on this cruisy Sunday evening. So I'm actually going to make a cocktail. I want to experiment with these old-fashioned variations. Having early nights for the last couple of months. Well, that's good. That's what's working for you. Tea time at Guillermo's. Was it tequila and rum? And tea-infused tequila and Drambuie. And my God, there's a lot going on there. Tequila, rum, tea-infused tequila, Drambuie, maple syrup, orange bitters, and whiskey barrel-aged bitters. My God. And this one's apple brandy and bourbon and scotch. All these split base ones, I definitely want to try. They've got a lot that are apple brandy and whiskey. I'm definitely going to do something that's apple brandy and whiskey. Although, like I said, I basically have done that before because it's not exactly rocket science. Meglitch can't see Invisible Chicken. Nice. Okay. Shield in high school, you had mice with wheels as the mice balls kept getting flogged out of them, so they changed them. Oh, dear. That's fair. Luke, you play Rocket League. I've never actually played Rocket League. It's Invisible Chicken due to med you been waking up before 6 a.m. Go to bed before 10. A bit, but you know, if you get a rhythm happening, it can be okay. But yeah, if your sleep patterns get messed up, that's all a bit much. That is a good point, Shields. If you're at school and the replacement balls were like $4 and the school had 100 PCs, it could be an expensive undertaking. And schools often have very tight budgets. Okay, which my hair is. Abigail with rocket surgery. There's apparently a name for mixing up idioms like that. Like, we'll burn that bridge when we come to it. I forgot what it is, but there's an actual name for mixing up idiom, whether you do it for comedic effect or accidentally. It might be malaphor, Abigail, a mutation of malapropism. Tommy's good Australian horror movies you could recommend. The Babadook is a recent one, like a completely original concept in a horror film. There are these guys who make genre films in Australia, often with foreign stars. There was a vampire one from a few years ago now called Daybreakers. I'll look it up because I'm sure those is like brothers. They make genre films. That's a 2009 film. That's actually slightly older than I thought it was. Daybreakers. I want to find out what other films the people who made that made. Cast and crew. That's their name, the Spearigs, the Spearig brothers. Michael and Peter Spearig. Now, what else have they made? Because I think they make genre movies. Oh, yeah, they made Predestination as well. Predestination's not a horror film. It's a sci-fi time travel film, which is friggin' amazing. They made Jigsaw. And there's a horror film called Winchester, which I haven't seen. It's got looks like it's got Helen Mirren in it. Yeah. So yeah, these guys are Australian filmmakers, but they make films with foreign stars in them. Stella, the word a malapropism is from a play. It was Mrs. Malaprop who got things, and you're thinking of the Reverend Spooner, who was a fictional character. I think the Reverend Spooner was a fictional character. You have Spoonerisms where you mix up the first letter. Now I'm going to get proper definitions of these. Verbal error in which the speaker accidentally transposes the initial sounds later two more words to humorous effect, as in the sentence, "You have hissed the mystery lectures," as opposed to "you have missed the history lectures." You say bunny phone instead of funny bone. It's customary to cuss the bride, and the other one I was thinking of is malpropism. Unintentionally humorous misuse or distortion of a word or phrase, especially the use of a word sounding somewhat like the one intended but ludicrously wrong in the context. Jesus healing those leopards is an example of a malapropism, or trying to say someone's a pinnacle of kindness, and you say they're the pineapple of kindness. So yes, malapropism is mixing up letters, a spoonerism is mixing up letters. A malapropism is using the wrong word. Mike USB, I don't do the link thing every night, so. And yes, I know the meme with the let me in. What's his thing? Hi, Nug. You like the idea of Jeebus healing leopards? Yeah, that'd be good. So yes, there's all those fun turns of events. And we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. That auto-completed. Yeah, it is a Malafor. You got that one right, Abigail. A Malafor, yeah, they've just basically borrowed from the term malapropism. To say when you mix up metaphors, it's a Malafor. Mike USB, you can, yeah, it is a beautiful shirt. It's like hipster cats from the 60s in a cat bachelor pad. These people, they make a whole bunch of shirts that have black cats on them doing wacky things. I've got one with black cats making martinis and drinking martinis. So, yeah. Oh, no. Abigail, let him down easy. Don't kiss the boys. And my curious to be, I think we've seen you on camera. So, anyway. Greg, hello. Good evening. How's it going? I hope it's going well. I might just mix an old-fashioned variant in this glass. But I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to measure it. I might just make it with Nova. Actually, maybe I'll do half Nova, half rye. Marco, that does point. That is a point. But given that that's veering dangerously into gross transphobic, again, not saying this is what you are. I'm just saying it's bullshit used by transphobic dickheads. What are you saying? There's a red mark on my head. Is that what you're saying? I think I just scratched. It was like a blemish, like a pimple or something, and I scratched it. And so now I have to be good and not scratch it anymore so it will heal. Oof, I've used most of this rye. And it was an expensive rye. But it's a neat bottle. I'm keeping the bottle, not just because it's square, but it's like embossed on the glass. Distilled and bottled in Melbourne, Australia. Which I just think is neat. Take it with me if I was going to another city. Nice. Invisible Chicken found a really good mocktail called a Cinderella. Does sound good. There's more and more interesting syrups and whatnot around these days too, to give you lots of scope for making mocktails. So I'm doing that and that. And then I'm going to do some of this. Ah, nice. Well, I hope your dad liked that, Invisible Chicken. The Unexpected for Father's Day. That's a classy drop, that one. Yes, the Cinderella name was actually about, if I remember rightly in the earliest versions of the story, was actually about her having to clean out the fireplace. Where is... That's what I'm looking for. Sugar syrup. Just gonna put a thing... And in fact, there was a joke in Terry Pratchett's Discworld when he was having a Cinderella story. The character was called Emberella. Oh, Raiders, are you correcting me? And I am gratefully receive corrections. Are you saying if it's raised, it's debossed? I thought that was embossed, but I'm happy to be corrected. All right, put that. I got to learn to stir properly because I'm actually very bad at it. And that's actually in that book I was looking at before. It has a little guide on how to learn how to stir properly. Oh, I should put some bitters in this too, actually. Maybe. I can't stop with it. Wait, are they both up here? Yeah, they are. I was going to go some orange bitters and some mango, and they're both up here. Oh, okay. So, Invisible Chicken. Cinderella has mint, pineapple juice, orange juice, lemon juice, grenadine, instead of sugar syrup and soda water. Just use lemonade. That sounds good. Raised lettering is debossed from your leather manufacturing day. Okay. Cool. Technically in glass, it's neither. Well, yeah, because I assume it's like cast. They've like, I don't know what modern bottle manufacturing is, but I assume it's like they've blown glass into a mold. I assume it's molded. Let's just call it raised. It's raised lettering on the bottle. It's raised lettering on the bottle. We'll just call it that. All right. Oh, good. Your dad did appreciate Unexpected. I'm sure he's had fun doing it. What I found very interesting, I've talked about this before on the stream, for anyone who doesn't know. It's a Melbourne whiskey. and it's finished in peated Scotch barrels, so it picks up some of those peaty Scotch notes, like I think it's Lafroig barrels. And what I found is when you dilute it a bit with water, either by just adding a little bit of water or by having it on ice when the ice melts a bit, I found that really brings out the smoky notes. Oh, we got Solera for his birthday as well. Your dad's very spoiled. Megalich, Facebook messages. Yeah, the one you sent to me earlier. Incidentally, I haven't seen Matt for a while. I don't know what he's up to. Matt, okay, I'll tell you, I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this, but the okay, so okay. Megaleech found this Emboss Deboss, and I'm just going to share it. Share screen, Chrome tab. So this is saying embossed is raised and debossed is in. Not one to start fights, but that's what it says. So, yeah. Yes, Raiders, the Bunnings anti-QAnon ad was pretty wild. Oh, fuck, that's good. That is really good. Oh, my God. That is fucking great. Yeah, actually, it's interesting you say Invisible Chicken, you got the Solera for your dad for his birthday. That's a Starwood I haven't had. In terms of their single malt, I've got Nova and I've got Fortis and I've got some of their limited releases. I've not had Solera. Tommy, it feels like you're drinking with me. Cheers. So, yeah, this is a slightly fancy old-fashioned where I've done an Australian single malt, an Australian rye whiskey, a French apple liqueur, just a little bit of that, just a spoon of sugar syrup made with raw sugar, and orange bitters and Angostura bitters. And it's really good. Oh my God, that's good. That is really good. Okay. So, yeah, it's good. Marco, you're sick of the constant ADs in your life everywhere. Ads. Do you just mean ads? I thought capital A, capital D was an abbreviation, or is it something else? So Invisible Chicken got Solera for your dad last week because close they were to a Scotch whiskey at the time. That may well be true. Oh, that's right, Abigail, the June Club. We're going to have a June reading club. That'll be set up soon. I'll probably end up getting a digital version of the book. I don't know. I used to have a physical copy, and I don't think I kept it. Micro USB. You think public restrooms, they'll have ads soon? Do you not have ads in public toilets in the US? Because we do. Print on the TP. We have like things, particularly in the men's, and the urinal that's at your eye level when you're standing at the urinal. Or in the cubicles, it's on the back of the door. We have ads in public toilets here. So who are you answering? I feel like you're answering someone, Luke, talking about streaming, keep people company. It's keep me company too. Yes, micro USB. We have those little screens at petrol stations as well. It's ridiculous. Fucking advertising, man. It's everywhere. Wow, I'm really glad I made this drink. It's very good. It is very good. Invisible Chicken, you got the audiobook of June through Audible since you packed your physical copy. Gotten into audiobooks. Nice. So, Abigail, one of your interested friends has a special edition copy of June. He's teaching someone else about it. Nice. Yes. I'll have to look into it. Like I said, I used to have a physical copy of it, which I don't think I have anymore because I actually got rid of a lot of books when I moved about 4 years ago. I was very brave and I didn't throw them out. I gave them to a Goodwill store and said, these are good books. And they're like, don't give us shit books. People give us shit books and we have to throw them out. I go, no, these are good books. These are all good books. Someone will like them. Tommy, have I heard there's a meteor coming by Trevor Moore? I don't know that one, no. No, you feel guilty for not reading your copy of King Leopold's Ghost. That sounds interesting. I'm not familiar with that one. Oh, yes, micro USB. When I saw those stories about the cubicles in toilets in the US having that massive gap in the door, that freaked me out. That's really fucking weird. That is super fucking weird. We don't have that big fucking gap in the door on the cubicles. That's just weird. That is weird. Visible Chicken, you frustrated your dad by having multiple boxes of books. Even when I got rid of 75% of my books, I still had a couple boxes. I didn't get rid of any of my comics. I have so many boxes of comics. Yeah, I was just kind of what's the best way to put it? I was I just kept my favorite authors, so that meant keeping stuff like Neil Gaiman and William Gibson and a few others, and turfing a bunch of books I'd held onto for a very 2,000 books. I love it, Invisible Chicken. I was a hoarder too. I had kept books for decades. Last time I moved, I got rid of stuff I'd been holding on to for decades. So yeah. Oh, nice, Greg. There's a June set on Kindle for maybe $50. Maybe I should do that because I've got Amazon Prime, and if I get the Kindle app. Wait a sec. I'm going to look at this while we're talking about it. Do I have the Kindle app on here? No, I don't think I do. Right. So if I go and where are we searching? I want the Kindle for iPhone. Okay, no, I do have the Kindle app. Okay, sure. No notifications. I fucking hate notifications with a passion. Ooh, I can get Harry Potter if I didn't hate J.K. Rowling. Things again. All right. I'm going to search for June. Search. The Great June Trilogy. June Messiah, and Children of June. What's that go for? All right. I have to buy it off Amazon. Okay. That's so weird how they do that. So, Marcus, your job, women's bathrooms have no stall gaps, but men's stall have 8 centimeter gaps. Yeah, it's weird. It's fucking weird. No, I don't know what it is, but the gap in American toilets is like that big. The door has got a gap that you can just see. It's not good. It's not good. All right. So, oh wait, I think I've got an Amazon app on here, don't I? Do I? Don't I? Okay, I didn't find it. I'm going to work this out because I'm a genius. Yeah, I do have the Amazon app. Jesus, so much trouble finding it. Okay. Dune. If you liked Dune, you'll love Battlefield Earth. I beg to differ. So, Dune the movie, Dune the book, Children of Dune the movie. Here we go. The Great Dune Trilogy. Kindle. The Great Dune Trilogy. Kindle. Why won't it tell me how much it is? That's really weird. It's not telling me how much it is. Oh, there it is. 32.99. Okay. All right. Good to know. Good to know. Because when you think your country makes stupid ass decisions regarding certain things. And yeah, I understand everyone hates it. No, this is okay. Again, this is a real thing for people who don't know. American public toilets, the cubicles, when you close the door, there's a gap that's about this fucking big all the way down that people can just see straight in. And also, the bottom of the door tends to be really high as well. It's very weird. Well, yeah, micro USB. I think you're right that the gaps in the door is to be able to, stop someone from doing something bad in there. But it's fucking terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Tommy, your cousin tried to stay up. He's passed out on the couch right before it started. Oh wow. So yeah, of all the things we might have discussed tonight, I didn't know we were going to discuss the gaps on toilet doors in US public toilets, but it's a real thing and it's really disturbing. Oh my God, that's good. Minesweeper Club rip the doors off. Staff have to guard the bathroom because it happens so much. Yeah, I mean, I remember, and it's always men's toilets. It's always men's toilets that have the most full-on things. I remember in the country town where I grew up, the men's toilets, like, we'd be in parks, there'd be public toilets. The men's toilets didn't have doors on the cubicles because, men were getting up to stuff in the cubicles. So they removed the doors completely from the cubicles. Yeah. Abigail, the amount of time she shagged in the toilets at lesbian bars. That's what nightclubs are for, though. That's what nightclubs are for. Ugh. But yeah, I remember wagging school when I was in high school and looking for places to hide. And there's a park and it's like public toilets, and I was going, maybe I could just lock myself in a cubicle. What was wrong with me? I don't know. But I went in this park and the men's cubicles didn't have doors on them. Right? And so I did. I went and the women's ones did have locks on them. So I just locked myself in the cubicle in the women's toilet for a while. Tommy, you freaked out the first time you've seen a glory hole. Yes, I have seen glory holes in public toilets. Never had a penis appear, and I've never put my penis in a glory hole. So, but I have seen glory holes. Yes. Invisible Chicken, remembering there weren't doors in preschool. I can see why in preschool kids could get themselves into trouble. But yeah. Oh, now we're all reliving traumatic toilet stories. Micro, you can Grindr main glory holes fall out of popularity. Grindr certainly made the casual gay hookups much easier. So I still think it's hilarious that when Grindr first came out, people said it's only gay dudes do that. Like, you'll never get a heterosexual app where people are just literally, you're just tapping to fuck someone. Along came the hetero version. Oh dear. Hello, Annette. Yeah, Luke, doing the big hard-hitting topics. Yeah, Nettie, you come in while we're talking about glory holes and casual hookups. And I am so glad I am not in the swipe left, swipe right dating world. I'm glad that shit did not exist the last time I was dating. I still did internet dating, but it's on, proper dating sites where you had a profile and you had to message people and you had to put a bit of work in. It wasn't swipe left, swipe right. Oh, Marco, there are definitely lots of married men on Grindr. We had a very funny incident. There's this weird hyper conservative politician who's now an independent. He was with one of the big parties, but he decided they were cramping his style too much, so went independent. Bob Catter, and he's a bit unhinged. He's like a Southern Republican, basically. Oh, he's like a real fruitcake Trump supporter, actually. But he did this thing once when he was saying gay rights were irrelevant to him because in his electorate, which was a very sort of remote area of Queensland, it's like there were no gay people, and the journalists are going, "What? What?" And I think one of them wanted to go, "I've got Grindr on my phone now. I'm just going to go do a search. Someone within 2 kilometers of where we are now who wants to suck my dick." Oh, look. Yeah. So, yeah, it is very weird. Hey, speaking of weird Grindr hookups, look who popped in. Hey, Edsy.
How you going? I'm having my serenading sandwiches.
Nice.
When you want to be serenaded later on, don't worry, I've got my vape and my serenading sandwiches going on.
Excellent stuff. Well, I just finished. I made myself a very special old-fashioned split base with an Australian single malt whiskey, an Australian rye whiskey, a French apple liqueur, little spoon of sugar syrup, and orange and Angostura bitters, and it was fucking great. It was a really good drink.
It's a little communist to me.
Yep.
I'm disappointed.
Now I'm having water.
I see no swastika value in that at all.
No, they're illegal in Victoria now. I think they were either bringing it to Parliament or it's already passed. That
it's actually supposed to have been fucking illegal the entire time. It's supposed to have been illegal to display a swastika at any time since the fucking 40s.
No, I think you're thinking about Germany. There's been no law on the books in Australia. You could end up being prosecuted for hate speech but there was no law that said you can't display a swastika. Andrews government just actually introduced it in Victoria.
Which is a good thing, and I'm happy about that. I will get back to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure I heard something, but don't worry about it. I'm not gonna.
No, It is categorically first time it's been a law in Australia. It's been the law in Germany since World War II.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. We were talking about Bob Catter. Yeah, Greg. His line about crocodiles was fucking hilarious. Like when something about when the gay marriage thing was coming up for a vote in Australia, and he's just going like, "Oh, whatever. People live their lives. Let love bloom in 1,000 different ways. But I'm not wasting time on that when 3 people every month are torn to pieces by crocodiles." And to which everyone went like, A, no, they're not. B, what the fuck has that got to do? It's like, you can think about more than one thing at a time, Bob.
No,
because
a right-wing Australian politician. He's only got the ability to multitask one multi.
But the best thing was his voice changed. It went really sort of, exorcist possessed. He's going like, "Oh, let love bloom in 1,000 ways. But I'm not going to talk about it when people are being ripped apart by crocodiles." And it's just like, that was the weirdest thing, that his whole personality changed when he said it. It was really strange.
But see, here's the thing, Angry My Fine Man. I think the exorcism part was when he was saying, "Let love bloom." That was the possession. Was our Bob that we know and love.
Yeah.
Give me grey hair and a hat, and I'll give you a Bob that you can relate to amongst the cane.
Yeah.
And never a sweeter end did I have the pleasure of watching the cane burn to.
Oh man. But I mean,
he's they don't burn the cane anymore.
Really?
No.
I thought you had to.
No, you used to, but now they spray it, and the machines are such that no one walks around in it, and they use the stalks of the cane as a green manure to keep the moisture in, and then they tromp it down with the new planting, and it rots down and in, and then boom, you're away. And I thought, oh, that's a thing that's no longer a classic piece of Strayana. It's just gone now. It sort of struck me as odd, because that was a big thing. You go through, southern Queensland and see the cane fields on fire, and you just go, You'd laugh and think, this is Australia.
That is exactly what I was thinking of. That classic 80s song from Ganga Jang. We laugh and say, this is Australia.
Young Dave Callan, the Irish-Australian comedian, used to have this joke where he said, I've never sat back on a veranda drinking rum, watching lightning crack over burning cane fields, and laughed and said, "This is Australia." Ha 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 ha! This is Australia. I've never done that, and I never said anything, obviously within his show, and I only ever told him once, but I have. I've actually done that. Like the laughter bit was jokes, that was being told, and we were half pissed.
Yes.
But I have sat on the veranda watching cane field burn, and and you've got to get pissed because it's so hot. It's kind of, and the smell is really different. You know how smoke smells like smoke?
Yes.
When you burn sugarcane, it's like when you're making toffee.
I was about to say toffee or caramel. It would be a very toffee or caramel.
And that bit of toffee that burns, not the whole bit, but the bit of toffee that just smokes. It's that. It's that smell. And it's you just think, fucking hell, that's the one. So there you go. I always used to think if you didn't burn it, how would you process it? And it turns out that it's just fine. Don't worry about it. You can crush it up.
Just tradition.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just a tradition.
They did it to get rid of all the snakes and the pests so that you could go in and cut it.
Yeah.
Right? But all the machines do that now.
Yeah.
Machines don't get bitten by snakes.
Yeah.
Machines don't get fucking annoyed by frogs. Or toads. So, no one gives a shit. Just fucking mow it down and don't burn off your compost and your water for next year. So there you go.
All right. I'm actually looking up because Abigail, exactly as you said that, said why burn it. Although cane fires are still regarded as a tourist attraction, pre-harvest burning of sugarcane is one of the most sensitive environmental issues faced by cane growers. As well as reducing pest and disease problem, burning greatly reduced the volume of leaf matter, making it easier to cut and load the cane. But yeah, as you say, machines now have rendered it not required. So it was pest control and it was burning off the leaves, which made it. But if you've just got big fuck off tractors that do it now, it doesn't matter.
Because men used to be employed.
Cane cutters, that was a job.
The job. You go in with these big fucking cane cutters and don't piss each other off at the pub. And the cane cutter had a blade with a hook.
Yeah.
And the hook was like my finger. And you go in and slash with one side of the blade, and you go in with hook side, and you hook out an armful of cane. You wrap it with one arm, then you get a piece of leaf or leaf trash, bind it, tie it, and throw it over your shoulder. Cut, hook, bind, throw.
Yeah.
And the foreman would notice how much cane you cut. Also, too, you had a lane to go down. So if your lane is longer than everyone else's lane, or shorter than everyone else's lane, you got a bonus pay according to your, amount of sugar you cut.
Yeah.
Men who hated each other, and you could tell, would leave a line of cane between themselves. So that they wouldn't cut each other's cane for them. You'd get these, you could see if a farm was going really well, it'd all be just like cleared. But if you could see a farm that wasn't very happy, you'd see these single lines of cane coming out through the paddock. Yeah. When men just did not want to fucking talk to one another. Yeah. Fuck you, that's your lane, this is my lane. This is my lane, and that's your lane. So you get literally single, 2 or 3 lines of cane running across the field. It's just like, that's crazy, and the farmers' sons have to go in later and just do it themselves, going, this is fucking stupid.
I was just thinking, I certainly remember, that was Summer of the 17th Dole, wasn't it? They were cane cutters in Summer of the 17th. One of the more significant Australian plays of the mid-20th century, the first major production that depicted Australians as Australians. So was that
places of theatre in Australia?
Yeah. Tommy, is there any truth to you saying they're confiscating booze in Australia? I'd need some context for that. The one thing they're not doing is confiscating. Like, when we had lockdowns and only critical businesses stayed open, that was like supermarkets and chemists and bottle shops, and I'm not even joking. They were regarded as a critical business.
Cigarette shops.
Yeah. So, but there are some communities that want to ban alcohol within the community. They confiscate booze at the border if someone tries to import booze without paying a duty on it. Because I've ordered stuff off a UK-based website because they had booze that I just couldn't get in Australia. And the prices looked really good. And I put in an order, and then they just said, Yeah, you're going to get charged a shit ton of duty when that hits Australia, and we're not even sending it unless you agree that you're going to pay it. And I went, oh yeah, I'll roll the dice. I guess I'll do that. And yeah, and then I got a notice like, yeah, we're holding this at the fucking airport. You got to give us another 50% of what you've already paid. So they confiscate like that, but they're not just randomly going around confiscating booze.
There are some Indigenous communities, sort of outback, particularly where the women run the community, particularly there, but often in others,
Yes.
who choose to go dry. They choose that their community is dry.
Yes.
And it's illegal to bring booze into that community. Doesn't matter what colour you are.
That's what got Albert Namatjira. Albert Namatjira was an Aboriginal painter, mid-20th century, and he painted in a traditional Western style, but brought sort of the colours and the spirit.
Colours of Australia that only an Indigenous person could understand.
And he was a celebrated artist and whatnot. And so he was treated as an honorary white person at a time when blackfellas were treated very badly. And he was allowed to buy booze because he was with all the white fellas. And then he took the booze back to the reservation, and he actually got imprisoned for it. So,
however, at the same time, our Albert, who we love very much, was a pisshead of the extreme nature. And a lot of the times when he got arrested, it was to stop him killing himself, because he eventually died young of complications from alcohol. Alcohol just destroyed him. And it was so fucking sad, because he was really coming into his like third power as an artist. And you will know what I mean by that, but our viewers might not. As an artist, you come into, if you live long enough, they call it 4 powers. Yeah. Your first power is when you're very young, but you understand your craft now. You understand how it works, and you're young and aggressive, and you want to change the world, and you come up with fiery ideas. And then you come into your second power, which is just a little bit more refined, but a little bit more confident in its expression and its conduct, right?
Yeah.
Then you come into your third power as an artist, where you really have mastered what it is that you do, and you bring to it newness. For the first time, you're bringing newness to the art that you do, right? This is something that it's your style now, and you only are the one that can see, or when I say see, understand what it is that you're packaging to bring to people's sensative experience, right? And then you come into your fourth power, which is beyond all that, and you are starting to bring new concepts and syntheses to art. You're really far out there. Like, you're really a long way away from drawing a stick man. Now, Albert Namatjira was really coming into his third power as an artist. He was just fucking amazing. The stuff that he was making was amazing, because as a black guy, he was steeped in the traditions of Indigenous art and the colours and the meanings of dots and lines and ochre. And he was also trained in what we would see as Western art, and also a little bit of Impressionism as well. So you mix all that together, and he made it cohesive in a way that no one else had done, right? This is why we freak out about Albert Namatjira. He made it cohesive in a way that no one had done, no one had attempted, because they couldn't fucking wrap their head around it. And it was, you see some Albert Namatjira art, and it's just fucking breathtaking. you know, you look at it, and in so much Australiana art, right, like pictures of the bush, pictures of the outback, you look at it and go, oh, that's a nice representation of the outback. When you see Amadira's art, you go, I could walk into that. I can touch that fucking tree. I know how that tree feels. I can almost smell the fucking spinifex, right? I know what that fucking burnt fucking piece of log is for and from, and I know how long it's been there, you know, and that was new in the 60s.
Yeah. I was just looking him up. He was literally the first Aboriginal person made a citizen of Australia, because Aboriginal people weren't recognised as citizens until 1966. It's not quite what everyone says. Everyone says they were treated as fauna, and that's an urban legend that's widely repeated. It's slightly different, but they weren't regarded as citizens until 1966.
If you look at the Australian Constitution, struck out is the line where citizens cannot be Aboriginals. It's still there, but it's struck out.
Yeah. Also, I just want to go something that's been going back and forth in the chat about two things. Micro USB is talking about an article, and I do remember seeing that story in an apartment tower that was under strict lockdown. It was like a tier 1 exposure site in New South Wales. So any deliveries in and out were very controlled, and they were actually limiting the amount of alcohol anyone could bring into this apartment blocks, like 6 beers a day or something. And I believe that did happen. But Nettie's saying, the stuff you were saying, Nettie, about why are all these people overseas talking about out of control shit in Australia? For whatever reason, in the last couple of weeks, right-wing fuckheads around the world, Europe, America, and whatnot, have latched onto this idea that Australia is a Stalinist police state, and everyone's just being horribly oppressed. And I even saw, like, I mentioned this in another stream. People say, "Oh, why are they treating people so differently in Australia?" And I went, "Well, avoiding tens of thousands of unnecessary deaths. It's that simple. You compare us to these other countries, whether it's England or Sweden or whatever, and say, why so different?" Go, well, count the number of deaths you had and the number of deaths we had. That's the fucking difference, you fucking muppet.
Look at the scoreboard.
Yeah. But yeah, right-wing dickheads around the world have, for the last couple of weeks, been obsessively ranting this thing about Australia. Tommy, don't be sorry about bringing it up.
No.
It's just weird shit that has been picked up by right-wing fuckheads around the world. Look, it's their latest obsessive talking point.
Don't also be under any misapprehension that Uncle Rupert has been stoking that fire.
Oh yeah, no.
Uncle Rupert has been doing it locally.
He's been doing it locally. The Murdoch media in Australia, I mean, it's almost goes without saying, but they've been contemptible. They've been absolutely vile and disgusting. And they've been worse overseas. Fox News in the US and various Murdoch outlets in the UK as well. But yeah, no, it's contemptible. So yeah. So that's the thing.
Sorry, go on.
No, I'm just saying that's a thing. It's become a ridiculous right-wing talking point around the world. But Australia's a police state. Oh.
Yeah, Australia's a Stalinist state. I remember I've been thinking about things like this. And I've been thinking about, how do you have arguments with people who are anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers? Interesting twist of fate, that one. How your anti-vaxxers going to get out of this one? And, you know, it's also somehow connected to 5G. Somehow. Yes. So I've been thinking about this, and I remember once I was having an argument with an American in a artist's tent at a festival. I just had a fucking magical gig and got paid way over what I was supposed to. And I had like a bag of cocaine in my pocket that was about the size of a hot dog. It was huge. Like, a hot dog with a big bun. Yeah. I was a happy boy. Anyway, he wanted to talk about democracy. And I said, oh, yeah, that's a good thing. We've got democracy here. He says, well, how does that work? And I says, well, every 3 years, the population who is old enough to vote gets up and votes. He says, well, how many? And I said, well, it's compulsory voting. Everybody who is of age has to turn up to vote. And he went, well, what kind of democracy is that? And I said to him, well, it's the kind of democracy where all the adults of the country are responsible for the government that they put in. And then he's gone, the population isn't responsible for government. The government is responsible for population. And I've gone, I can't argue with that. There's nothing that I can say that will convince this guy that he's just literally got the ass in front of the mouth. I just thought, I can't say it. And I said, well, look, let's have a think about this. What population of people, put not the president but Congress in? He said, oh, we have the president vote. And I said, no, not the presidential vote, the congressional vote. What population, what percentage of the population puts them in? He said, well, the presidential vote is around 6 to 7%. I'm going, that's a lie. And he says the congressional vote's a little bit smaller. It's about 2.5 to 3%. And I'm going, okay. So 3 out of 100 people, and it's less. It's actually 1.5 to 2% of the population puts the Congress in. And I was going, 3 out of 100 people control the biggest budget militarily in the world, and they control who has the finger on the most powerful arsenal of world-ending weapons in the world, and the rest of them complain about taxing the rich. And I've had similar arguments with the British as well, about how can you say that's a democracy? Well, it's like everyone getting together in a circle and saying, well, what do you reckon, John or Peter? We thought Mary. All right, John, Peter, and Mary, get in there, and everyone put their hand up. Everyone turn around and face out of the circle. Put your hand up for Mary. Put your hand up for Jono. Put your hand up for Peter. Okay, Mary got it, because no one else can see anyone else. That way you are directly responsible for your government. Yeah. And so when you start complaining about your government, you got to know deep down you're in that. You helped that happen. So when it comes to election time, I always make sure to tell people, every time you say something politically close to election time, you are teaching people around you how to vote. You are teaching people what to think. So do be careful with what you say.
Justin pointed out the last US election had the highest voter turnout in 100 years, which is true because Trump set a record for getting the most votes for a losing candidate. And he was very upset about that because even more people desperately wanted him out, so voted for Biden. But yeah, it was a very motivated round of voting, the last US.
What was the percentage?
Let's have a look. Let's see. We're on the internet. We can look. What does Wikipedia say about the 2020 US presidential election? Okay. 81 million people voted for Biden. 74 million people voted for Trump, which is about 150 million people, which is about half the population. It's actually more than half the voting population. It's probably 2/3 of the voting population.
That's a lot. That is a lot. Usually never gets that high.
Yeah. And that's because people were very motivated. Trump's loopy supporters were quite motivated, but people who weren't completely detached from reality were even more motivated to get Trump out. So yeah. Oh, Justin's saying it was 66.8% of the voting public voted, which is higher than usual. Higher than usual.
That's fucking huge.
Yeah.
And good on them. Let's hope that they keep on doing that. What shits me, and it shits me to tears, that they have it on a Tuesday.
Yeah, I hate that.
Are not compelled to let their workers go and vote. So if I'm say, I don't know, a casual worker who might not be keen to be a Republican, and my Republican boss has already taken a bit of time off and gone and voted, I don't necessarily need to be let go on my shift to go and vote. And in the time that I've got in my shift between 5 and 6 p.m., I can be lined up at the voting poll, and there might not be enough ballots. And they've had it time and time again, they've had it so there's not enough actual tickets, enough ballots for people to vote on. So they just shut the poll. They just shut it down. It's like, sorry guys, we run out.
They have at least improved postal voting and pre-poll voting, which was very interesting because that was a deliberate tactic Trump did because of COVID. The Democrats were saying don't go to polling places, apply for postal voting, and those are the last votes counted. Trump did the opposite. Trump said to all his supporters, go out and vote on election day because they knew what would happen because the Democrats, who aren't morons, more of them were voting with postal votes. So their votes wouldn't be counted for a couple of days. And if Trump got all his supporters out there, the early polling, the early vote count would put Trump in front, which is what happened. And then progressively, over a couple of days, he'd be overtaken, which is what happened. So that just fed into the conspiracy mindset, even though it was extremely obvious. And also, I did just notice, Stella, I wanted to ask you, you said you're really enjoying your the truffle old-fashioned from Archie Rose with some cherries. How coffee-ish would you say that is? Because Archie Rose recently put out this coffee-flavored whiskey, and then they put out a pre-bottled old-fashioned made with it. And I don't like coffee, so I didn't get the whiskey because I don't like coffee as a flavor. But because they did this old-fashioned, which they were calling the truffled old-fashioned, I was kind of interested in that. Tommy, you reckon? But okay, I completely understand where you're coming from. I don't quite agree. You're saying Biden screwed up so much, Trump's going to run again and actually win. That's how messed up shit is. I don't believe, and I always preface this with, I'm almost certainly wrong. Trying to predict the future is a mug's game. I don't believe Trump will run again because he really doesn't want to lose again. I believe he'll make noises like he's going to run again to milk literally tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars out of gullible fuckwits who will just give him money. I don't believe Trump will run again because he really doesn't want to. Actually, he doesn't even want to win again. He hated. He loved the crowds. He loved the adulation, but he hated
the job.
He hated the responsibility of being president. He hated it.
He actually had to turn up to work.
Yeah, I don't believe he will run again, but he'll make noises like he wants to run again. And I'm absolutely not a Biden fan, but who the fuck knows? Everything's gone so weird and so screwy.
Okay, I mean, Biden, not the most amazing president ever to start with, has walked into a shit show that is phenomenal in its houses burning down proxemics. He's got a sick country who just had a punch up with their banker and has lost 2 wars.
Yeah.
One of them embarrassingly just imploded. And so he's walked into that. The American public does not look at the last president and say, you fucked that up. They look at this president and say, this is fucking up. One of our prime ministers a little while ago, all he could say was the last government spent too much money and now that's why we're in trouble. And A, they didn't, and B, that wasn't why we were in trouble. And for the whole term of the government, they were basically saying a big boy did it and ran away. When they kept on fucking up time after time after time after time.
I just want to say good night to Invisible Chicken, who's
good night, Invisible Chicken.
First time she's been on in ages. Nice to see.
And you know, here they blame the last guy. Over there they blame the guy in now. Trump was weirdly that fucking bit out of The Simpsons where Lisa becomes president and Trump is leaving office. The weird thing was it almost was real. Even the fucking campaign, fucking poster, you know, that Trump sign was accurate.
Okay, no, I'm going to correct you. The only reference to Trump ahead of time was President Lisa says, as you know, President Trump left us with a terrible deficit. What happened afterwards, after Trump ran for president, they did actually make a couple jokes about that in The Simpsons, and people continually put images from after Trump was actually running for president in The Simpsons and equated it to the old Lisa as president stuff one. And that put the false thing in people's heads that The Simpsons were more exact about it. Literally the only thing they said about Trump ahead of time, Lisa had one line and said, as you all know, President Trump left us with a terrible...
That's right. That's right.
So the poster and Trump going down an escalator and whatnot, that was all after Trump actually ran for president. But people online tend to either out of ignorance or deliberately in bad faith present the stuff that The Simpsons did after Trump ran for president as if that happened on The Simpsons 10 years before.
There you go. All right. Well, I didn't know that. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
as you can see, the serenading sandwiches are finished.
Nice. So Stella's now tempting me. If I buy the truffle old fashioned and don't like it, she'll buy it off me. It just cost us too much with postage, Stella, to send it around.
Can you imagine getting a lumpy envelope in the mail and half the address is like, covered with brown, and there's this like glass in there. It's either smashed or just, the envelope's really huge. And you see, to Stella, who lives in postage stamp badly put on the top, and then, and there might even be a little bit left, down there.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. Although Mrs. Angry might like it because she likes coffee, because I had this Mr. Black stuff that I had for competition and was just sitting there, and I mentioned it to Mrs. Angry and she said, let me taste it. She goes, oh, no, that's pretty good. I'll drink that. I was like, okay, she likes coffee. She can drink that. So even if I didn't like the truffle old fashioned, she probably would. But Tommy, thanks. Tommy's thanking us for talking politics, especially the US, solving problems. Thanks hearing from other people who experience different things. Yeah. Was someone saying China doesn't have elections? China has elections. It's just the Communist Party is the only party that's on the ballot.
That's right.
You can vote for anyone.
Chu fucking did a good campaign. They were fucking at each other the whole time. Communism won, but Billy Chu and Tommy Chen fucking had a real fucking going for it.
There's a few countries that do that. We have elections, and there's only one name on the ballot, and we can tell you the election result before you vote. So there's a few countries that do that.
Yeah. North Korea, for example, is
North Korea.
Countries.
Uzbekistan's a good one. Turkmenistan's another. There's a few African nations that do it.
Yep. Oh, I wouldn't say nations. I would say proto-nations, some of them.
They got names, buddy. They got names. Yeah,
my dick's got a name, Angry. But no one's giving it rights.
Mugabe used to publish the results of the election before polling closed.
He did do that. He did.
I win with 97% of the vote. Nice.
Nice. Mind you, Mugabe also had the veterans in his pocket all the time.
Oh, hey, again, some things Mugabe detractors overlook. He had extremely solid support from 30 to 40% of the population, like super solid support, because he was playing crony shit and whatnot. But mind you, he'd always say the election result was 97%, not 30 or 40% in his favor. So,
one of the nicest things that happened in Zimbabwe when he was forced to power share with the new guy that clearly won, and he was forced to power share, and that worked for quite a while. He's gotten to the point now where it's only his inner circle government that are running the place, because he's so old now that it's difficult to get words out of him in a sentence.
Mugabe died a couple of years ago.
Well, that would be why it was difficult to get words out.
No, he's not saying much anymore.
When did he die?
A couple of years ago. That was finally what got rid of him. He fucking died.
Well, because in the last couple of years of his government.
Oh no, he was in bad decline. You are absolutely right.
It was clearly his inner circle that was running the country.
Yeah.
Because they'd bring him out for fucking celebrations, and he'd just be sort of sitting there going, and then there'd be speeches, and he wouldn't be one of them, and then they'd drag him off again. And okay, he died. I fucking missed that. I was looking forward to that. And who's in now? Same guys, or did the actual winners get in, or are they running in the same sort of system?
Okay, so he died September. Well, we're almost exactly 2 years after his death.
Right.
Who took over from Mugabe? 19th November, Emerson Mnangagwa replaced Mugabe as... Oh, okay. 2017, Zimbabwean coup d'etat. Okay. So Mugabe was removed in November 2017.
Not that he
replaced
noticed.
by Emerson Mnangagwa, because it was his own party still doing it.
Yeah.
So the party didn't get removed. They just changed the figurehead of the party.
I myself had a strong suspicion that was going to happen.
Yeah. So, okay, MicroSB wants to ask us something that's not political. I mean, go for it.
Go crazy.
We answer all sorts of questions here.
I'm an expert on my dick.
Yeah. We'll answer all sorts of dick questions. Where it's been, what it's up to, all these things, you know. That's a long conversation.
You're only saying that because you know it hasn't come home for days.
Yeah. That's a very long conversation. Where it's been, what it's doing.
I asked you not to tell anyone that, but now you just say it all over the world. Gave me an email.
Oh, that's right. Okay, Mike USB brought up one of my favorite Australian facts. Is it true you had a prime minister or something that went swimming and never came back? Yes. Yes. Our prime minister went for a swim in the ocean and was never seen again. One of my favorite bits of Australian history.
The story was he was picked up by a Chinese submarine.
Yeah. I was always like, and also, just for a hoot, not far from where I live is the Harold Holt Memorial Swimming Pool, which is that's like having a John F. Kennedy Memorial gun range, as far as I'm concerned.
It's fucking hilarious. The Harold. I've been to the Harold Holt Memorial Swimming Pool. I've actually done a carnival there when I was a swimmer, and we all came there and went, "That's not fucking real." This is a fake for this carnival, and they said, "No, it's real." And and we said, "Did it go in, before he went for the swim?" And they said, "Nope, it went in after he went for the swim."
It was a memorial,
And I went, okay.
The bit of sea where he went swimming, because I always wondered, how did he just go missing? But then I actually visited the place where he went swimming. It's past Geelong, and it goes into the open ocean. And I looked, and it's rough as fuck. And I'm looking at this and going, of course he got sucked out to sea. I'm just looking at this churning, boiling surf. And I'm going, what was he thinking? Who would go swimming in that?
Do you remember the fucking movie with Keanu Reeves and the presidents who were doing all the rip-offs?
Yeah.
What was that movie called?
Sorry, say that again.
The movie with Keanu Reeves, who was an FBI agent who had to learn to surf because he had to get into this gang.
Oh, Point Break.
Point Break. Okay. That end of that movie is the bad guy going
in the high surf.
The harshest surf in the world, right? Which was recognised as a place off Victoria. It's this place. It's that place where Harold Holt went. And it is recognised by surfers as fucking amazing waves, but it will kill you if it gets a chance, like Australia.
It's pretty funny to see it for the first time. It's the worst surf I've ever seen.
What are you fucking thinking, dude?
Yeah.
You could have gone on the East Coast. You're a Prime Minister. You've got access to the plane. You could have gone on northern New South Wales beaches where you'll still get dumped by waves. Don't worry. But you won't necessarily drown. And it's nice sand. And it's hot and warm. And what the fuck were you thinking? No one in Australia could go, the Prime Minister's fucked because he went up to North New South Wales and had a swim. Everybody's going to go, fuck, I think I might do that.
Okay, so I want to help Nettie out because in Point Break, they do refer to Bells Beach, and he didn't die at Bells Beach, but it's that surf coast area past Geelong. Bell's Beach is what they actually, and the only reason they say Bell's Beach is having the biggest waves is because there's the remnants of a tropical cyclone coming down. Bell's Beach is very big with surf carnivals because it's a good surf beach, but the whole thing in Point Break is it's the remnants of a tropical cyclone is making these epic waves. Harold Holt went swimming a bit past Bell's Beach. It's the same bit of surfed coast.
Not far,
and it's this rock promontory that goes out. And I was walking out, and then I saw a sign, and I recognized the name, and I went, wait, is this where Harold Holt went? And I went and did a research and go, this is it. And I'm looking down from this rock wall of this surf that's just churning. And I'm going, of course he fucking got dragged out to sea. This is terrible.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I was a good swimmer, and I went down there as a kid, and I went, I'm not fucking doing it. Because me and Jason, my brother, used to go to beaches and find the rips and then get in the rips and take them out so that we could get out into the deep and then go and catch the big waves and body surf back in. Yeah. And we were doing that a few times, and then the lifesavers came up and said, lads, can you stop doing that? Sorry, because the little kids are looking at you doing these epic fucking body surfs in, and they're starting to think that they should do that too. And we're specifically not trying to get little kids to take the rip. Do you mind? We were going, gotcha. So we stopped doing that. And
sorry, I just looked. It was Portsea Beach that Harold Holt went, which is just around from Bell. It's the same bit of the surf coast.
Yeah, just around. Yeah.
Oh God, I think AZ's run off to do what I want to run off and do, so I'll let him do it first. No, Geelong. It wasn't. Sorry, Raiders. I knew it wasn't Geelong. That's why I said it's past Geelong. You are correct. It was Portsea. You go out because Geelong's still on the bay. You get out past Geelong to places like Bells and whatnot. You're actually on the surf coast where it's the open ocean. But I visited this bit of Portsea where he went missing, and I was just looking at this churning ocean and just going, oh, fucking course he got sucked out to sea. This surf is terrible. Micro SB, you want a president to die in a hilariously awesome way. I forget. I do remember way back when I was at college, I think it was Sweden. The Swedish prime minister got assassinated, like he got fucking machine gunned in the street. And I remember, this is when we were at college.
He was coming back
someone visiting from Sweden who got told that we had a prime minister who just went for a swim and disappeared. And they were like, how do you let your prime minister do that? That's ridiculous. And when your prime minister just got machine gunned walking down the street, what are you talking about?
Before that, Swedish prime minister...
I'm on a toilet break now. All right.
Before that, Swedish prime ministers never had any security because they didn't need it. They didn't feel like they needed it. And this poor bugger was coming back from either a movie or a theatre show with his wife, and someone just came up and fucking gunned him down. Apparently he was a decent guy. How can you let your prime minister go for a swim? Sort of hard to stop our prime ministers from going for a swim. They don't do it to show off their virility, like Chairman Mao did by swimming the Yangtze River when he had tertiary syphilis. They do it because it gets fucking hot in Australia, and most everyone learns how to swim. And one of the things that you do when you're at a beach, and remember 90% of Australia lives next to the beach. One of the things you do when you live near the beach is you swim in the ocean. Sometimes you don't swim in the ocean because there are jellyfish that can kill you, and occasionally the sharks will eat you. That's not such a big problem, though. The sharks only take a little bit. And they're normally not after people. They're normally after seals. But if you have a boogie board, like a small surfboard, it's only sort of half size, it's sort of shaped like a biscuit, and flippers on, you look like a turtle, and they'd love a fucking bite out of that. So yeah, all our prime ministers go for a swim, not to show that they're virile, but because it's hot.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much all the prime ministers go for a swim.
Yeah.
You don't go for a swim in the north of Australia in some seasons because the jellyfish will eat you, and the sharks will eat you everywhere if you look tasty. But once they've taken a bite, they usually go, ew, pork, ew, ew.
Yeah.
And if you can get back in before bleeding to death, you're fine. And if you don't get bitten in a bit that is kind of vital for your existence, again, you'll be fine. So oftentimes you can go swimming if you've got sort of like stockings and pantyhose material all over you.
That's the thing. Wear pantyhose in the tropical north. So I can never pronounce. We used to just refer to box jellyfish, but there's a new
box jellyfish.
Irukandji. Yeah,
Irukandji's tiny.
The Japanese one. It's like this big. And
box
jellyfish have the tentacles. They're not tentacles. They're stingers on a box jellyfish are like 6 meters long. They're ridiculous. When you see someone who's been hit by a box jellyfish, it's like lightning patterns. They've got permanent scars on their body that look like lightning strikes on their body from these stingers that just burn the flesh. But it's bad. It's bad. Man, I tell you what, I held on for too long thinking I could hold on till the end of the stream. You know when you hold on to a piss too long and you get up and your bladder hurts and you can't move very fast because you're in pain. So I just did the little hobble off to the toilet. Oh, okay, move carefully. And I think if I weighed myself before and after, it'd be about 1 kilogram in difference. So it's like about.
And you've got to breathe specially too. You've got to go. Because if you breathe too deeply, you're putting too much pressure on that bladder. I've had to do that from the shops. Sometimes I've actually walked back into the shops because I've gone, I'm not going to make it. I'm old and also have a incontinence problem, but that's what happens when you get life-saving surgery.
So Stella's saying the Irukandji, we used to call them the man of war. I remember referring to things as a Portuguese. No, they were big. Portuguese man of war were big. Blue bottles. I used to see them walk up on the beach.
Portuguese man of war. The box jellyfish is a little bit bigger than the Irukandji, which is tiny and most deadly. The Irukandji is the most deadly one. Box jellyfish is particularly nasty, and the blue bottle is just something you get.
They're stinging. They're very stinging. Have you ever I've been on a boat and seen, I don't know if you call it a school when it's jellyfish, but looking over the side of a boat and hundreds of jellyfish are just doing the neat jellyfish. I love the way they move, but I always look over and go, man, psychologically, now I just think I'm going to fall off the side of the boat into the middle
and run in and just
hundreds of jellyfish. It's just it's like looking over a big cliff. Like, wow, I could jump, and that's a long way. It's like when I look over a boat and there's 100 jellyfish going past, and going, I can just see falling off the boat now, landing in the middle of 100 jellyfish.
I did a thing. I did a quick Google search about why base jumping is not real popular in Australia. And I thought it was our hills aren't very big. And it was base jumping in Australia is so fucking illegal that you will be jailed for 8 to 10 years.
You got to. Some guys did it off the Rialto only a couple of years ago. It's it used to be the tallest. It's like the 5th tallest building in Melbourne now. the Rialto, and there's a cafe at the top of it with big plexiglass things, and it's open to the air. And these guys rocked up, and they appeared to be wearing business clothes like everyone there did. They had backpacks on. It turned out the backpacks were parachutes, and like Tom, and they went, "You ready?" And I think there were 3 of them, and then they just ran and they jumped and scaled the walls. They could reach the top of the plexiglass, and they just pulled themselves up and just threw themselves off the top of the building. To all these people having breakfast at the cafe and going, "What?" And they jumped and parachuted off, and yeah, they landed and ran away because that's illegal as fuck.
Well, because I wondered why there wasn't more squirrel shooting in Melbourne, because Melbourne is a perfect squirrel shooting venue.
From the wind.
Because it's windy and you've got all these updrafts in the buildings, and you can fucking do really cool switch turns in the buildings, and there's heaps of grass area where you can land. You know, there's heaps of little parks and little areas where you can either ripcord or land. And there's also heaps of buildings with helipads or roof gardens on where you can stop in an emergency. Yeah. So I wondered about that, and then I looked it up, and they said base jumping in Australia, including squirrel shooting, is highly illegal. Yeah. We will jail the fuck out of you, no question. Yeah. Minimum 8 years. Yeah. And it's like, shit.
You can't even do it like down the surf coast where you get those bits that have neat, on the Great Ocean Road that has neat cliffs and stuff. You can't even do it there because it's super illegal. Oh, that's right, Raiders. It's Vue de Monde. The restaurant at the top of the Rialto is Vue de Monde. And it was hilarious to read this story like in the paper that day. I was like, 3 guys just rocked up to Vue de Monde while everyone was having breakfast and just climbed to the plexiglass and jumped off. And everyone was like, and they did it so fast, like no one even took pictures of them because they did it so fast. But they had like sunglasses, and I think they were wearing like fake beards and stuff. They just come in, and I think in their backpack, and they just pulled out a helmet and pulled a helmet on, and then just jumped. And what looked like backpacks were actually parachutes. And
because safety.
It always cracks me up when base jumpers say stuff about why do people say it's not safe? It's really safe. And go, it's not safe. That's why you do it.
Jumping off a fucking building or a hill or a bridge or a
they do it because it's dangerous. They do it because they get the woody from the adrenaline of
exactly.
So it's like so condescending when they say, "Oh, it's safe." Why do you say so? So it's not safe. That's why you do it, because you get your jolly from doing stuff that's not safe.
Fuck's sake. Well,
I do love every now and then the squirrel suit stuff. I love seeing people do really because it just defies belief that they're doing it. It's going like, dude, one mistake, and you are just like pizza smeared across the ground.
Absolutely, which is why they wear parachutes, is because if you fuck up a squirrel suit jump, you fuck up big. It's one of those things that you get to make a mistake once. And effectively, one of the reasons they put up for why it's so fucking illegal in Australia is that our airspace, right, in Australia is really actually near the cities is actually really tightly controlled.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Police helicopters have to get permission to run around the city.
Yeah, you're not allowed to fly drones. Yeah.
Right. They have to get permission because the only helicopters that have right of way are the rescue choppers that go into hospitals, and they're usually going at a fair clip. They have already announced their presence. That's part of the rules. They're saying, I am, going to the Royal Melbourne, I'm going to the Alfred, the Royal Melbourne or the Alfred's usually it, and I'm going at 200 knots, which is fucking quick.
Sorry, I'm just going to cut you off because I'm going to bed. It's 10 o'clock, and I did want to answer Annette, although people did answer in chat. Squirrel suit, also known as a wingsuit, and we call it a squirrel suit because you look like a flying squirrel. If you've ever seen those flying squirrels that have the membranes between their forelegs and hind legs, that's what the suit basically has. It's like this webbing here, and look up the videos because it's freaky as fuck. It's freaky as fuck.
Awesome.
Yes, Stella, in Australia, we should call them sugar glider suits because sugar gliders are also cuter than squirrels. So, but yes.
Oh, you disguise yourself.
As a squirrel, yeah. Really I'm just a very large sugar glider. But anyway.
Flying fox. Night. Thank you.
Night, everyone. See you later. Maybe